Okay. 10 minutes minimum. Fucking set a timer for 20 minutes. Maybe I'll finish before then. Actually, I'll set a timer for 10 minutes. And then I can reset when it restarts. Welcome. Welcome to whatever the fuck this is. I woke up today and I decided I wanted to do a project where I sat down and I spoke to a microphone for 365 days this year for all of 2023. Talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, the indifferent. Fuck man, where do I begin? A lot of shit's happened over the last couple of years. From 2020, from the pandemic and all the shit that followed that, to even last year recovering from being in said pandemic, and obviously we're not completely out of the woods yet, but we're making strides and we're all having fun. And it was really beautiful last night seeing the new year brought in a way that resembles what life was like before we had to fear about the illnesses that, the illnesses of today, hey? Let's take a moment, hey, shall we, to think about what the fuck happened last year. I mean, for a lot of people, it was a great year. For me, myself, and my wife, it was a rocky one. I would say that we ended on a good note, but oh dang, fuck. Without going into this without planning, I need to explain a few things. I need to explain who I am. Let's start with the simple stuff. So today is Sunday, the 1st of January, 2023. It is my stepfather's birthday. I need to call him after I record this. I live in Melbourne, Victoria. Beautiful little place. Beautiful big place, one of the main cities in Australia. Today it is going to hit 34 degrees and stay sunny. So what a fucking way to welcome in the new year. Beautiful day, especially since we didn't get we didn't get a winter. Oh, sorry, we didn't get a spring this year. It just went straight from winter to summer. Been loving this fucking awesome weather. I'm sorry. This is the first of 365 episodes or increments, I guess, of this audio journal. So it's going to take me a little while to figure out the best method, the best plan of attack to, I guess, get vulnerable and be a human being that just talks to a microphone and people can listen to it or people can not listen to it. Who gives a fuck? No one cares. At the end of the day, I'm nobody special, and I don't want anyone to think that. I'm just a regular fucking dude who does regular things, and I think in a way that is probably regular, probably unique. It depends on who you are. I just have a lot of shit to say, and a lot of things that I think I could provide valuable perspective on, perhaps. There might be a lot of people that need to hear what I have to say. There might be a lot of people who think what I have to say is stupid, and that's fair enough, because you're all people and you're all entitled to your own opinions. So I guess let's just make this a reflective piece. We'll try and keep it all in one episode of what 2022 was, for at least for me and my partner. Last year we got married. I got married in June. It was our 6th year together, our 6th anniversary. And we got married on the 6th of June, which is our exact anniversary, actually. It was the day we got together. That was a special little day. We went with a couple of friends and we just went and signed some documents. We eloped, essentially, and went and got burgers afterwards at a place called Custom Burger in Thornbury's. I think it's Thornbury's, maybe it's Northcote. Fuck. Anyway, shout out to Custom Burger. They were decent. They were good. I feel like I was elated because it was my wedding day. I feel like if I went back there now, I've had better burgers, not to talk any shit about Custom Burgers. I'm sure they do fine. I'm sure they're lovely people, but, mediocrity shouldn't be rewarded. Or no, it should be. It should be celebrated. We should celebrate the mediocre. Not everything has to be extravagant. And maybe that was my issue. Maybe it was because the burgers were just fucking massive and they were extravagant. Maybe you should go back to mediocre burgers. No one from Custom Burgers can listen to this fucking thing, so who gives a shit? What else happened? We have a cat. His name's Otis. We have two cats. We've got Otis and Olive. But Otis, in July, developed symptoms and got diagnosed with epilepsy. He has what they call, I mean, we call it now, I guess, because they called it this. He has hippocampal sclerosis, which is a progressive disease. So he eventually will succumb to his illness and pass naturally from that, which is a bummer. So I guess we had to spend a lot of last year recognizing and coming to terms with his mortality. My partner went to hospital for a week. No, that's not my story to tell necessarily, because obviously the diagnosis and everything is all for her to speak about. But I will mention that it's not deadly necessarily, and there was an immense pressure on me, an immense stress on me, knowing that my partner was in hospital. It came as a bit of a surprise to us. We went to a specialist appointment and they said, "You're going tonight," and so that was a bit wild. I changed careers. Well, not really. I'm still in the same career. I'm still doing retail and leadership, but I changed businesses, at least. From a business that I thought I was going to stay with for decades. I probably would have stayed with for a long time. But businesses change and shit changes and people change. And I think, sometimes you got to recognize that, and you got to put yourself... you don't have to put yourself first if it means putting others last or others second or others down, I guess. But you do have to recognize when enough's enough and when to prioritize your own mental health. I guess that's why this project is something that I want to do this year, is something that I want to see if I can. See, it's really hard to commit to sitting down and writing a journal, because I feel like if I only give myself 15 minutes, it's not enough to write down. And, there's a bit more of an intimacy with writing with a pen and paper, and I just can't write that quickly. And all the thoughts that are in my head that I want to get on paper, I would need to sit down and dedicate a lot more time to journaling. And I just feel like if I sat in front of a microphone for a minimum of 10 minutes and a maximum of 20 minutes every day, 365 days this year, and just talked shit into a microphone, I feel like that might be more therapeutic for my mental than if I was to sit down and try and write a journal. Because when you just when you get those thoughts racing through your heads and you don't know which thoughts to pick out and which thoughts to say and which thoughts to write down, or when you're writing a journal, you want to structure it properly. You don't want to, I don't want to go back and look at a journal and read it and it's just a bunch of dot points about how I felt. I want to know how I felt. I want to know how I was thinking in that moment. And, and that's how we grow. And I just feel like this podcast would be a good opportunity for me to be like, okay, cool. How was I feeling on the 1st of this year? How was I feeling on whatever, any specific day I can go and I can have a look at and I can read and listen to, and I can find out and figure out. I guess the ultimate goal would be to identify thought patterns and identify, things that I'm saying and things that I'm thinking, and adjusting those to be healthier and live a happier and healthier life. And I guess that's a big part of this project, is there's an element of vulnerability where I don't want to really say names or places of things or, expose too much of things. I don't want to make it a game where you have to guess who I am. Obviously, I want to have an attachment to a real life human being, because that's sort of the whole point of being vulnerable. If anyone listened to this and was sitting down and put their headphones on and decided to listen for between 10 and 20 minutes to this podcast, I'm sure they'd want to know who was at the other end of it, because it would make it matter more. If this was just a person talking into a microphone, or it could be a fucking AI at this point. We're right on the cusp of that. Let's not even get beginning about that. Anyway, I went on a tangent there. I think that this project is about vulnerability. This project is about talking to myself every day for a minimum of 10 minutes and a maximum of 20 minutes, which I can't remember if I did the math. Oop, the alarm's about to go off for 10 minutes. Shit, that went quick. Man, I'm good at talking shit. So 10 minutes times 365 is obviously 3650. 20 minutes times 365 is obviously 7300. So at any given point at the end of this year, I'll have a minimum of 3,650 minutes of recorded voice, or up to 7,300 minutes, which is fucking insane to think about, right? If you were to sit down and just do that in one go, you'd be like, get fucked. But you can sit and listen to the progression through this podcast of me and my thought process, and the things that I want to talk about. Maybe one day I don't talk about fucking anything. Maybe I sit down and I sit quiet and I just sip a coffee and you just get to spend a bit of time with me. Maybe I sit and I talk about real world issues like I don't know, abortions, pandemics, politics, who knows. I don't know if I want to introduce that to this podcast. Maybe I will. Maybe that's the whole point of being vulnerable, is having those thoughts and talking about how I feel about things and trying to think logically. I guess I'm also looking for a bit of a collaboration as well, where I post this somewhere and there's a comment section, and in the comments you can discuss how your day was on this specific day. You can question thought patterns. You can, I guess it's just open discussion, because no one really knows how to be a human being. No one, I mean, obviously that's a lie. There's no rule book. There's no guidelines. There's no right or wrong answers to life, There's right or wrong answers to individuals, of course. You'd be sitting there listening to this and be like, oh my God, of course there's right and wrong. But I mean, that's because you were probably raised in a system where you were taught what was right and what was wrong. And how do we know that those are right and wrong, Obviously, there's easy things to understand the ramifications of, your actions and the consequences and the punishment that happens. But isn't it interesting how, I'm sure you ask someone on death row for a crime they committed, they probably have less remorse and less guilt than someone who posted the wrong word or said the wrong thing, How much of what we're upset about and what we think about and who we are as people comes from and is shaped by the people that we hang around, and how much of that was passed down from generation to generation of, you can't say this and you can't do that because I am this. Who gives a fuck? Who gives a shit? It's it's challenging. It's challenging being a human being in 2022, let alone when we start to add labels like a straight white male or a gay person of color, or a trans I don't know, person with disabilities. Who knows? You can add labels to everything, but at the end of the day, we're all human beings, right? And so I think that's what this project is. I think that if anything, I want to be able to say at the end of this year that I successfully posted 365, or at least recorded 365 of these podcasts. Audio journals, I don't know what I want to call them yet. And they were able to resonate with a wide audience. I don't want to have an audience at all. I would prefer that the people that listen to this listen to what they need to listen to, and they move on and they fuck off and they live their own lives and they do their own projects. Maybe I inspire some people to start their own sort of self-healing project, but I've got a lot of healing to do and I got a lot of thinking to do, and this is affording me time every day and forcing me to take time every day to sit down, talk into a microphone and think about the things that I think about and talk them through. And usually when you're thinking something and then you say it out loud and it's going to someone, maybe an audience or another person, maybe what you said sounded more vicious than you wanted it to, or it sounded wrong, or it sounded different, or it didn't sound how you wanted it to sound, and then you realize that the thought you were having is not really the thought you were having at all. It's not the thought you wanted to have. And so, we need to explore that and why that happened. And I think by allowing myself to be vulnerable, I'm hoping that I can allow others to be vulnerable. And my ultimate goal is to empower people to live life the way they want to, and not be afraid of I guess, the societal backlash, or the differing opinions, who is right and who is wrong. And some people are just louder than others, and that's really where it boils back down to. I got a lot of respect for people who do things their own way, who don't take shortcuts or try and coast off other people's achievements or success, or the real go-getters, the real hard hitters that they just don't subscribe to a system that is designed to fail, I guess. Without getting too deep in any of that, I guess I'll summarize this, because we're coming up on the 20-minute mark, and I can't go over that. I guess, to wrap this up, this project is, I guess, a vulnerability journal. A journal where I can sit down and I can talk to you, whoever you are, or me, if it's me from the future, listening back to this podcast. Hey mate, how you doing? If you're a person from the internet, or a person from the future on the internet, hello and welcome. And welcome to, I guess, whatever the fuck you're about to embark on, whether you stay for 3 or stay for 365. Hopefully we learn something every day. Hopefully we can discuss something every day, and hopefully we don't get stuck in thought loops and thought patterns, and hopefully we can make whatever this is into something beautiful. My name is Mincho. I guess I probably should have started with that at the beginning, right at the end. Whoever makes it to this, you'll know. It'll probably be on the account that I post this on and everything. I'm Mincho. I'm 27 years old. I'm a married man. I live in Melbourne, Victoria, with my wife and my 2 cats, one of who is epileptic. And this is Audio Journal 1, January 1st, 2023. This episode is dedicated to my stepfather. It's his birthday today. He's turning, I'm going to butcher this, but I think 64. So happy birthday, Pa. If you're listening to this, you're a fucking legend, and you saved our lives. To everybody else who's listening to this, fucking enjoy your day, and I'll speak to you tomorrow. See you.